Welcome to the Old Hobo channel. I'm the Old Hobo. Our boat is a 1971 Hobo houseboat, and it is the namesake of the channel. This spring we cruised over 500 miles on the St. Johns River in Florida. My wife and I spent 21 days on the water, and I'll be releasing our trip in segments. This video covers days 7 and 8. Our goal was to traverse the entire length of the St. Johns, the navigable length, with as many side trips on the creeks and springs off the main river as possible. Please subscribe for the entire series and for other Old Hobo content. Here are the details of our day 7 travels. We started out from our anchorage in Welaka Springs. We had to backtrack to Welaka, just a mile and a half, to get some fuel. Then we headed back on the St. Johns up the river. You can see there we passed behind the Seven Sisters Islands and Murphy Island on the Murphy Creek. Then we cut east and southeast on Dunn's Creek, down into Crescent Lake, Crescent City, and then back up, and we anchored after the first bend in Dunn's Creek. This is what we woke to in Welaka Springs, just looking out east from the front door of our boat. A very peaceful morning, and we prepared to get underway.
This is Wednesday morning, March 27th, I think. We're leaving Welaka, which was a very good anchorage point, Welaka Springs. Very calm water. Not as clean water as Blue Springs or Deleon, but still clear.
We backtracked from Welaka Springs, where we anchored, to the Welaka Town Dock. There, you can see I used the restrooms there to the left, and then up the hill half a mile to the gas station and refilled our 12-gallon tank and went on our way again. Here's a local Welaka fisherman bidding us good day. Okay, it's a gray morning, Wednesday, March 27th. The sky is breaking up a little bit, the clouds. It was thoroughly overcast before. No rain for today. There's another osprey nest over on that marker. Yep. We went back that way to Welaka, to the Bryant dock, walked 3 blocks, got some gas with my dolly. We anchored over in there. That's a sportsman's club there, and around the corner is the spring, really nice. So we went back, got our fuel. Now we're on our way up the river. Today we're going to get to Murphy Island, and of personal interest there's a Rat Island, personal interest to my daughter, and into Dunn's Creek and Crescent Lake if it's calm enough. Go to Crescent City. We do need some water, drinking water. We've got fuel, we've got electricity. That's about it. This is the normal color of the St. Johns River water, except when you get to a spring it is clear. We're coming up to Acosta Creek Marina. We called about gas and so on there. They are shut down now for updates, renovations, and that's presumably because of damage from the hurricane October 2022. To the east here, that is the starboard side, is the town of Satsuma, and there are quite a few homes. There's a lot of development on the river, beautiful homes, and some fairly nice boats as well. On the west side, the port side, it is not so developed on this section of the river. I was thinking it would be nice to have a cottage in Florida somewhere, you know, maybe a dock, and keep a boat down here. This gives me ideas. Yeah, I don't think we could afford to pay the crew for this thing. Ospreys and their nests are a dime a dozen.
We're coming off the St. Johns River and heading into Trout Creek, where the Seven Sisters Islands are. We're going to do a little route behind them and through them, and then back onto St. Johns River.
As with most creeks, the mouth is often shallow and has obstructions. Later on, it will get deeper.
This is one of the sister islands right here. Wednesday, March 26th on Trout Creek, and we're looking at the Seven Sisters Island. The water is still. You can see the reflection of the trees in it.
There's no habitation on either side of Trout Creek along this section, and the water was so still, it was protected. There was not any wind. The reflections were really amazing. We were fascinated by them, and there are a lot of pictures here. That one is a favorite right there. The odd time we would look, and we just, when looking at the image on the camera, we couldn't tell, well, which way is up and which way is down. So it's very quiet and very still, except for the sound of the motor. Okay, this was the first major island. That's the second one. There's another outlet there to the St. John's. We're heading back. This one, we'll hit a few more of these islands on the way before getting to Dun Creek. All of the Seven Sisters Islands are uninhabited, but after we passed the second or third island, we could see the signs of habitation and nice homes on the east shore. Okay, here is a very low railway bridge, which I saw referenced. It happens to be open, and we're going through. I believe this is a bascule type. On the bottom right, let's see, get my finger lined up. That's a big heavy counterweight, and then it can move with very little energy. Okay, yeah, we wouldn't be able to get through this except for a lift. Okay, there we are. It's a Chessie, Ohio system, CSX bridge, and basically tells you, I think it's channel 9 if you need to open. There were no visible signals telling us it was going to close, but that siren that really woke us up. We proceeded through, and about 5 minutes later on Murphy Creek, we heard a train. We're currently in Murphy Creek. We started up here at the St. John's, is going north, down is north. We came here, we entered behind the Seven Sisters Islands. They're both 6 major ones and maybe one rock with some trees on it. We came down here, came around this point. We hit the train thing right there. We were fortunate to be just a few minutes earlier than the train. And we came here, now we're in Murphy Creek, going behind Murphy Island, and then behind Rat Island, and then we'll be going into Duns Creek over here. So, here we are, Murphy Creek, and we're just coming around. This, I think, is about the end of the private lands, and then we get into Murphy Preserve, Wildlife Reserve coming up. Further into Murphy Creek. Okay, we're still, I don't know, 70 miles or so from the ocean. There are tidal effects here, and they're buffered by the flow of the water back and forth, the back pressure from the ocean. So the tides are out of sync with what's happening at the ocean. But here is Buffalo Bluff. That's near that railway bridge, and we just before we entered the Murphy Creek, which is what we're in. We've got a total of about 1 foot of variation. This is the time here right now, 12:30. We're going to hit another peak in 5 hours and 43 minutes. We're going to hit that peak. So it's interesting to note. And also, if we were anchoring and we were somewhere where a foot was going to make a difference of us settling into the mud or something, we'd want to take note of whether we're at high tide and that we might settle 5 hours later. But you can see roughly every 12 hours or so we have a minimum. Every 12 hours or so we have a maximum. Viewers, please be patient with us for the next few minutes. There is some Rat Island content here, and you know if it's meant for you.
Rat Island, straight ahead. Over to our right, Duns Creek. Good afternoon to my fellow rats. We have scurried up Murphy's Creek, and we have just come out of the Murphy's Conservation Area. We had a gnawing need to come to this place. Right now I want to bring the most cordial of greetings to my rat queen Karen and all of her minions from Rat Island, right there in the background, Rat Island. We have traveled many, many miles to come here, and we pray and hope that this greeting from Rat Island, Florida, will bring you great joy. This is the Rat Mother signing off. Squeak, squeak! Highway 17 bridge leading into Dunn's Creek.
Okay, we resume the serious travelogue, Highway 17 bridge, and here is a serious problem in Florida. It's the abandoned boat problem.
Okay, on these bends, we're going against a reasonable current, and there are eddies. There's like a deep spot here. You can see the circle. I'm just going to leave it straight. Oops. I'm going to see what happens. The current's going to push us. It's not pushing us. Oh, actually, that's up ahead. Well, now it's turning all by itself, actually. But there's some weird things happening here. I'm going to turn this into the current. Let's see what happens here. It's accelerating the turn. I'm not going to... Okay, I'm going to arrest it. Okay, steering is neutral. Steering is neutral. And it's swinging us back a bit. Okay, that's all I want to say. Really doing it. Oh, pushing one way than the other.
Here are some more rough-looking boats. They're actually tied up at an old landing, so perhaps someone's actually exerting ownership over them. But boats get to a certain point, they need work, they depreciate. At some point, they're not worth fixing up, and they're too expensive to scrap. I guess you can store it for free if you've got some waterfront. Okay, we're now just a couple miles away from Crescent Lake, heading south up the creek. So soon we'll see Crescent Lake.
Okay, we are just rounding out the last corner out of Dunn's Creek into Crescent Lake.
Southbound on Crescent Lake.
That's Bear Island. It's opposite Crescent City, which is just around that point a ways. We're about 20 minutes from there. I've got a public dock, and there's an ice cream store walking distance.
We approach Bear Island, and we're preparing to arc in to our right into the Crescent City dock and ramp. And it was fairly nice. It was not particularly protected if you had an east wind, but the wind wasn't too bad at the moment. We headed out to ice cream shop that we had researched, got our ice cream. Here's a question we pondered, some grave humor, I suppose. We enjoyed our ice cream, and after our 1 hour stop in Crescent City, we headed back at 6 miles an hour. The wind was picking up, and we were thankful to get into Dunn's Creek. We went around the first bend, and that's where we stopped and anchored for the night.
It's the evening of March the 27th. We just came from Crescent Lake that way. We're just around the first major bend. You can see a little roiling up there. That's how there are usually eddies and there's fast current around the bends. I chose an area on the inside. The current's flowing this way towards us. I thought there would still be a little current to hang on the anchor. As it is, we're hanging on the anchor here and it's actually limp. We've got a little bit of wind that's from indeterminate direction and we're getting zero current here. We checked the current by going up and down the river both ways. It's about 0.8 miles per hour. Around the corner, so it gets really accelerated. But this is where we're at for the night. We're anchored here. It's just about 6-7 feet of water, and the back swings into some that's, if it has to, it'll be 3.5 or something like that. You can just see in the water there, the white rope, the white line, that's a bridle hooked to the eye of the boat. And then on this blue line is hooked to a 28-pound anchor, nice heavy one. You don't have to have much scope on it. It just holds you in place by gravity, and it does bite. It's a Navy anchor, sort of like this, only bigger. The sliding hook I use on these, and a hook to the bridle is one of these. And you can get them. The one that's down there is plastic. It's not as durable as this sliding hook. This little thing here on the plastic ones is pretty light duty and can get sprung.
Well, this is the end of day 7. We always have an exciting evening of eating, doing dishes, and playing games, and getting to bed in good time so we can get up in the morning. Wow, day 8 already. It's been a week on the water. And here we are at Dunn's Creek, our anchorage, just north of Crescent Lake. And of course, that is actually down river from Crescent Lake. So we continue down Dunn's Creek back to the St. John's. Of course, we passed Rat Island, then immediately joined the St. John's, headed north, and we stopped in Palatka. And we had an interesting, good time there, and we knew we wanted to return. But then we left in the afternoon, and we headed north again up to Deep Creek, where we anchored.
It's a rainy Thursday morning. We're just sitting here. It was pouring a little harder earlier, so I think this is supposed to clear up. So we're just going to have our coffee now. So we're just swinging back and forth, and then I look at the GPS, and that's all we did for the night. Actually, we did do some half circles, maybe 180 degrees here and there. So this is the start of our day.
We started our day with light rain, and it really wasn't an impediment. It wasn't windy or anything like that, and got on our way. It cleared up soon enough. We ended up coming to inspecting some of the homes more closely. There were some canals, trailer parks, and so on where you could keep your boat. There's a towboat we saw. That's kind of interesting. Wait till you see our episode that covers day 20, and you're going to find out what the 1971 HOBO does and how it performs as a towboat.
We're back on the St. John's. We've got about 5 miles to go to Palatka. The rain has stopped. This morning we met only one boat. It was a fishing boat on Dunn's Creek. I'll correct that statement. We met several boats, but only one of them was actually floating. There are a lot of derelicts. On the Erie HOBO so far, we've gone just a little over 150, maybe 160 miles. That includes all our side trips. We continue north to Jacksonville. Of course, Palatka is our intermediate destination.
If someone twisted my arm really, really hard, I might be tempted to trade our little HOBO in for something like this, a Sea Dory or a Ranger tug. And I mean really, really hard.
Okay, these power lines are just at San Mateo, and we're heading up this way. There's Wayside Boat Ramp, I believe. We got some restaurants and things like that. We're going to be snaking around to the left and then up there, and that will be Palatka. So we're just going along here. We're off the channel, just over here. Still lots of depth. We're still maintaining. There's 16 feet at the moment, so it's broad. The river is broad and deep.
This is an over-the-water restaurant that's closed. It used to be called Captain Joe's. It's just a quarter mile before the big bend of Palatka.
This appears to be Corky Bell's restaurant or landing. All the landing there, and you can dock and eat. It's a bit before noon, but we won't be stopping here. This is where we make the big turn. Very sharp turn, very narrow here. And we go there and then up, and we'll be at Palatka.
We'll add Corky Bell's to the list of places to stop next time.
There's Corky Bell's restaurant and landing. You can dock there. We won't be stopping, maybe on the way back. And this is called Devil's Elbow. It's more than a 90-degree turn, so it's quite narrow here. So there's the channel, the left side for us. Here's the starboard side over to shore. So this, I guess, was a tricky corner for the steamships.
Another casualty of neglect and nature on the bend.
Okay, straight ahead, I believe that to be the boathouse marina. We need a pump out, some gas and some water. And there we have the bridge of Palatka. We're going to figure out the lay of the land here. I think there's a public dock right here on the far side. Farther down, if I'm correct, is the park where there's the free dock. We'll suss this out right now. Okay, approaching the boathouse marina, and it appears here we have a mooring field. So we're negotiating the mooring field, and we still saw an occasional crab pot even out back behind us, so we have to watch that stuff.
Well, the boathouse marina didn't pan out. We went and we looked. We couldn't see where the fuel was or the pump out or anyone tending the dock or anything like that, and it was very crowded. And so we decided, hey, we'll just go on and find this free dock anyhow. So we went, and right next to it was a ramp and a brand new dock, floating docks. Wow, with water. There were kiosks or pylons for power. There was this building that looked great. There must be washrooms. That there was a security gate. The first thing we did was fill up with water, and then we went, got our garbage, and we went to go out the gate, and it was locked. We called the Parks Department phone number that was listed, and they gave us a gate code. It didn't work. Upon subsequent talking to them, they said, well, there's another dock, and the one you're at, we're not sure where you're at. Oh, you're at the one that's new, and it's not open yet. The construction's not done. So we got in the boat, and we were a little confused. We went through under the bridge. We didn't see anything except a Days Inn and a restaurant, and we doubled back, and poof, there, we'd just gone by it. There it was, by that clock tower, the proper dock, where it is proper to overnight, I think, for 2 or 3 nights. Let's check out the river center, get some gas, do a little exploring, maybe have a little something to eat for lunch.
The St. John's River Center. We were talking to them on the phone. It really wasn't too visible from the water. There's the Highway 17 bridge. There we are at this dock. So there are 2 docks. You've got parallel. There are no services. It's 48 hours. Then you have to disappear for 8 days, and then you can come back again. There's one fellow, John, here, who's been on his boat for about 5 years, and he just cruises around different places. So this is it. They got clock tower, and we went down that street for 6 blocks, and we found El Cheapo Gas. It was something like that name, Cheapo Gas, and we got ourselves 10 more gallons.
We set out into the town with our gas tank and dolly, looking for gas, and looking at the interesting architecture, a reviving downtown with a lot of restaurants, different businesses. It's just one street off the main drag. We also then went to the St. John's River Center when we came back, and we don't really have enough pictures here to describe, but we met some very helpful and informative, I guess you call docents or volunteers there. And it was actually a good introduction to geology and biology of the river. We will stop in Palatka on our way back, about 11 days from this. I think on day 17 we returned. The Erie HOBO was all fueled up with gas. It was time to fuel ourselves up with a late lunch. The volunteer at the River Center recommended Angel's, and it's a old classic diner, and it did not disappoint. Lots of good food, and of course we had to have to go a pair of milkshakes. We said our goodbyes to this little alligator, and then we got our boat ready for departure and continued north on the St. John's.
In the past we've had northeasterly winds and then southeasterly winds, and now we're pretty much back to due north. We've left Palatka, and for this little boat, this makes a lot of splash. The river is a lot wider here than it's been before Palatka. That's Deep Creek. If you go out there, you end up out in the St. John's. It was really rough out there today from Palatka, so we came in here. This is the first bend, and there's a pool here, an eddy. This is sort of the shallow side of it. We're anchored, the back end swinging over 4 feet of water, and we're anchored in 5. So you hear the woodpeckers, other birds to life. The river continues many miles that way. We might explore that tomorrow, or we may press on towards Black Creek, which leads to the town of Middleburg. But this is our abode for Thursday, March the 28th, for the evening of. Right here is yesterday. We were at Crescent City there. We'd started down this way and we'd worked our way here, and then we anchored for the night in Dunn's Creek right here, and we zipped along up to here, up to Palatka, these narrows, and then we had some rough, stormy Palatka. We had ice cream, we got gas, we had some nice burgers at a diner. We worked our way up here, very rough when we're heading straight into the northwest wind. And we came up here. By the time we came here, it was north and even northeast wind, so we were fighting a lot of rough weather there. We came up and finally rounded that point, and this is Deep Creek, and this was a recommended anchorage from this book by Captain Tom, and we're in the first sort of major turn or pool in here, and we're in this area here, as I mentioned before, just 4 or 5 feet of water. And for reference, we're at low tide right now, and the tide around this area is just over a foot. It's something like 1.1 feet. So we started out Lake Monroe. We worked all our way up. That's Lake George, Little Lake George, Crescent Lake, and we're up to here. That's the Atlantic Ocean. It's not very far away, and Orlando is down around here. You can see the massive intersection of highways. We will see how the weather is now, since the river is wider and much like a lake, and if we get a lot of northerly type winds, it's a pain in the butt. You want to hit them on the quarter on 45. You head on, you really have trouble with our little boat. So we'll see. One of our goals is to get over to Middleburg, which is not going to show you very well on the map. There's a river that shoots off here, and I think it's here, and goes to a town way over here. After that, to get up to Doctor's Lake. There's some other things. Julington Creek, 6 mile. I mixed up here. I think that's Julington. This is Trout Creek, 6 Mile Creek alternatives. And of course, there's Jacksonville itself. There's Ortega. You can't see this. This is the Ortega River. And down, it's a naval station right here. We can get into the Ortega River down here. You can see a lot of green. There's some nice places, shallow places to anchor, and very private. If you want to go to town, I mean, there is a dock right there. You can day dock. You can dock. Somebody can go and get some groceries. Or you can go in here, fairly far around here. There's a boat ramp, public boat ramp. You can dock there and run down, and there's some groceries a little bit farther away. So that's a little orientation to where we're at this instant.